to know what you knew. Restless every time we start locking eyes. Lost control. Oh, it's paradise with honesty, but I'm in the dead of the night. Let the darkness take control. Let the darkness take control. Darkness take control. May the darkness take control. Take me in the smoke, breathe me in and let me go. Sink to your heart to find you. Open up your eyes till you're blinded by the lies, so you can see what you do. Restless every time we start locking eyes. Lost.
And welcome everyone to Valpo Esports' League of Legends NECC semifinals versus Bethel College. I'm Dikembe. I'm here with my co-host,
Keloids.
and we're gonna be hopping into draft here really quick. I mean, now that we've gotten a couple of weeks into preseason, we started to see a lot of builds come out, right? Obviously, the big craze that was earlier in the season was Heartsteel, but that slowly started to fall back out as people go more to that Bruiser build, right? We're looking at Ravenous Hydra, who also is getting a nerf pretty soon in patch, but is really, really strong right now. So I mean, talking about itemization with kind of the champs that you want to draft, we see the Fiora first pick for Valpo Esports. Do you kind of pick around that meta?
Yeah. Just speaking of the Fiora real quick, I think that's going to be really what this series is going to be. That champions based around. That's really going to be a power pick of this series. We see a Wukong as an answer, probably jungle, most likely jungle.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, we're kind of settled down now in the preseason. We kind of have like our meta kind of shaping up more, like you said, more bruisers in the top lane, right? Showing like uh, a lot more higher win rates uh, than tanks, right? Because we
Yep.
at the beginning of the preseason, we're just like, well, these tanks look really strong, and we are going to see the Nautilus support. That is pretty expected. The support for Bethel does have 12 games on Nautilus, I think, so quite a lot of games in Nautilus for just NACC.
I mean,
Um,
if we're looking at Valpo Esports, especially like what their idea with the draft banning out obviously three ADCs, we do know that Bethel Pilots, their ADC is a past master player, currently Diamond One right now, right? And that's kind of who they're worried about, right? You don't want to give them any hard scaling champs. You don't want to give them that early like beat down with Samira and Lucian, and you don't want to give that late game Sivir, right?
yeah,
So with that, with those like three bans in first phase, Bethel Pilots kind of has the opportunity to draft who they're comfortable with, right? Especially in these series.
Yeah, if you just look at the bans, right, you see that Valpo is really concerned about the ADC, right? And if you look at Bethel's bans, three mid laner bans, so they're more concerned about Jakimbo, right,
Yep.
and what he can do. Um,
Looks like Jakimbo is going to draft the Anivia as well, going for Outbow Esports. Makes sense. I mean, Bethel Pilots, talking about earlier in this game, like to play that Vex, like to play that Oriana as well. And Anivia, especially how strong she is right now in meta, is usually just a great pick, especially that survivability right from her passive revive that she has, going into lanes like Vex, going into heavy damage lanes. And speaking of heavy damage lanes, Bethel Pilots probably uh yeah, drafting this Lux for that mid lane. I mean, I'm not expecting another Lux bot lane, but
no, no, this Lux is interesting. Not like I don't know, kind of a weird one. I'm not sure too much how this Anivia Lux lane goes. I'm a really big fan of Lux support. I think she She's really strong there, but you're more of a mid laner, so you would
Yeah.
know more about that.
I
The Lux mid,
I
we are
think
gonna see a Kai'Sa ban. That's
yeah.
also pretty big.
We do have the Kai'Sa ban come up from Valpo Esports and the GP ban as well, trying to neglect that top lane. We know that if it is what's it called, we do know that both of our top laners for Valpo Esports, one would rather play Fiora and the other one would rather never play Gangplank.
Yeah,
So, I mean, if we're looking for just people that can go into Fiora, usually no matter who we have, if we have Anaya or if we have Dreadful in that top lane, you want to get that GP out if that player plays GP. Bethel Pilots decide ban the Nocturne, ban the Nunu. We do know that there are a couple of games, especially with this new league unlocked and everything that Valpo Esports has on campus, right? We do see a couple of new champs come out with Valpo Esports' team practicing these kind of new players, um, trying to just target that jungle. Uh, but targeting that jungle does leave Valpo Esports open to draft this Taric, knowing that it is the Lux Misfortune, right? Somewhat of a comfort pick going in here, or sorry,
so
I misspoke here. Misfortune Nautilus, right?
yes.
Knowing that you have that melee matchup with Nautilus, really any melee support you want to take Taric into. He always will out survive those melee supports.
Yeah. Also, the Wukong, someone who wants to jump in, and get a Zara off, someone that has to come into Taric, especially in team fights, really, really good for Taric because you can just stun him and kind of make them a little bit irrelevant in the team fight. But we are
Hmm.
gonna see whether this Wukong is gonna go top or jungle here. I'm thinking it's gonna be jungle, but that would be a weird pick to last pick top lane. Yeah, that's a bit weird for me. Last picking, um, waiting for the counter pick for the jung or the top lane when the Fiora is first picked, right?
Hmm.
I feel like I don't know. I feel like there's much better counter picks. But maybe it was just a flex. But um, a big thing to look at is this MF. For Bethel, it's gonna do a lot of damage late game
Definitely.
if it can get even or ahead. Um, But yeah, so I think what we do need to talk about is the last time this team faced. We were both casting this. Um, it went to about a 40-minute game, and that's when the ADC was playing Sivir and kind of just took over the game, right?
Yep.
So Valpo really needs to look at ending the game early here, right? They don't want to let this ADC who can carry the game late game, and they know that they can carry the late game. So looking just to end the game quick here.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think we talked about draft. You talked about that top lane pick being kind of weird, right? Having that very last counter pick. But I think Bethel's not really thinking so much as in you pick this, so I'm gonna immediately pick this, right? Secure pick. I think they place more trust in their top lane and in their ADC that they're willing to give the earlier picks to their team. They're willing to flex around those two players that they have, their top and their top and their ADC. And we're seeing right here, right, taking the Garen, taking the Misfortune. These are picks that are pretty strong right now, I'd say, right? I mean, we don't see much Garen play, but going into Fiora, having a simple champ is pretty nice, especially with the suppression that he offers, with the speed from his spin as well. Going that Stride Breaker build, that's very popular with Garen, especially right now. Just kind of trying to avoid those vitals from Fiora, especially the speed buff that she gets from hitting them. So I think placing that trust in that bot lane is pretty important for how this draft dynamic was. Speaking on Valpo Esports' side as well, we have the Fiora top, the Trundle jungle as well. Excuse me for saying as well so much, but I just feel like all these things add on to each other right now because we've had the first pick Fiora, we had the Trundle counter pick because obviously Bethel Pilot's taking somewhat of a tankier comp, right? You
Yeah,
do have the Lux Misfortune, but having the Garen, Nautilus, and Wukong with those resistances, Trundle has a lot to steal from.
yeah. Also, something to note. I don't think Jakimbo has played a competitive game with Anivia.
He hasn't.
Yeah, so this is going to be a first time competitive game for the Anivia for on Jakimbo. So that's going to be really interesting to watch. We always talk about how big his champion pool is, right? And
Mhm.
apparently it just keeps growing and
Just
growing.
keeps pulling up, like pulling out new stuff. I mean, if we're looking for, because obviously we know that MF Jacimbo has his mechanics down, right? We
Yeah,
know that he can play mechanically, but really what we're looking for, especially pulling it out a first time in this competitive match, is how can he play into this team? And I think with Anivia's slow stun and the wall that she has, there's a lot of utility that he can flex around here. So I'll be interested to see how he joins these team fights and really if like this pick can click,
yeah,
especially like running the Aphelios, running the Tarek, people that can get in, right? Aphelios, a late game scaler, Tarek kind of giving him that space to play around with. Now with Anivia, you have that long range stun that you're looking for. You're just trying to get people in.
yeah, yeah. Uh, I'm also gonna like this top matchup is gonna be super fun, right? Because Dreadful on a carry champion is always fun to watch. We
Hmm.
saw it with his Aatrox, right? Someone who a good bruiser, right? He just carries the game, especially like we saw with his Olaf too. He carries the game with his Olaf. I mean, this is gonna be really fun to watch, and especially if Dreadful can get ahead early, right?
Hmm.
Ahead of this Garen, this Fiora can just snowball this match, right? I mean, you don't really have like um the only big CC there is the Lux and the Nautilus, right? But if he can
Yep.
get on that MF, he can really just one shot that MF.
Yep. I mean, talking about Dreadful though, I can kind of see where this Garen pick was coming from because Dreadful, speaking on his Fiora, kind of the gameplay that he has, he likes to dash in, proc grasp, dash back out, right? He
Yeah,
plays Fiora early game almost like a pick champion. So with Garen's passive healing regen, right, it allows to play against this pick kind of like Q in, W for any like suppression that you need, and then back out. So I can kind of see how this lane would get a little bit scrappy, and I'm pretty interested to see where it's at. I think biggest downfall right now for Bethel's draft is they are 4 AD,
yeah,
right? 4 AD, 1 AP on the Lux. Lux does a lot of damage, right? But I mean, Tab Eyes is gonna be a really, really
yeah,
strong build for Valpo Esports here.
yeah. A lot of Lux is not guaranteed AP
Hmm.
damage either. It's not like she's like point and click, right? She does have some easy skill shots to hit, some wide AoE damage, right?
Yep.
But I mean, still very easily dodgeable, like her ult and stuff like that. Uh, um, but what's going to be interesting to me is how this Wukong is going to path, right? We usually
Yep.
see, recently we've been seeing teams taking note of like, hey, this dreadful guy, he's pretty good, so let's path up top to try to help out our top laner, right? And usually,
Hmm.
uh, we see a lot of early deaths from dreadful, right? Because he just keeps getting ganked and ganked, right? But he always somehow brings it back, right? Sometimes he even wins them. I don't know how he does it,
Me
but
neither.
this Trundle, where he's gonna go, right? Is he gonna go and help support the top lane, right? Push Dreadful even further, or is he gonna go down the bot lane and help them, right?
I think
Um,
with the Trundle pick right now, especially the biggest synergy that it has is with Anivia.
yeah,
If we're thinking mid ganks, especially into Lux, someone that doesn't have dashes, the pillar plus wall combo plus the stun from Anivia, you get the electrocute proc off. We'll see what runes he is taking, but usually
yeah,
with Anivia you want to take electrocute. That kind of like 3 hit combo that you can run with your jungler is almost with like as long as the person doesn't flash, it's almost a guaranteed kill
yeah.
because it's so much CC, it's so much stun, there's so much that can go wrong in that combo that it's really, really hard to get out of. So I think we'll see Trundle kind of focus towards this bot side, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see an early like level 3 gank immediately running in, even without like that good of a wave state, you can still block someone from getting backwards with how much like walling that Trundle and Ivia both offer.
Even if you get the flash early, right?
Yep,
It's such a long cooldown, right? And that wall has a lot less cooldown. So even
exactly.
coming in a minute or two later, when the
Hmm.
flash is still down, um, you could still recreate that gank and get the kill
And I
right
mean,
there.
we've laughed about it all the time. We've seen a couple of these games where Vector will walk into mid lane, right? Get the flash, walk out. He will walk like a full circle. He'll
Yeah.
he'll just like walk and fake that he's going one way, and then he'll immediately come back to mid lane once his cooldowns are up. You do have to be careful. Trundle cooldown, right? Especially on his pillar, is a little bit high early game. So we might not see him do the little like loop that we're used to him seeing, like with Nunu and things like that. But it will be a little bit interesting, the dynamic like you were talking about. Where are people gonna go at the start?
I just want to point out, we talked about the first for the Jakimbo and Nivea. We
Uh-huh.
also have another first. Orno with taking cleanse.
Hey!
he finally
Woohoo!
decided to take cleanse.
This is a good thing. This is a good
Yeah,
thing.
this is a really good thing, especially against the Nautilus, right?
Mhm.
He can lock you down so hard. Ooh, we're gonna
And
see
we
an
are going to see
invade.
an early invade as well. Probably not going to be on the vision of Fiora. A
Oh,
couple of pings going out. Trundle and Anivia spotting them both, and looks like they're going to just split back up. Nautilus electing to take the long way around, but probably going to meet Fiora at that entrance as he walks out. Fiora just walking away, kind of hiding in that bush, trying to pull out and get away. A couple of recall. Going to be an unsuccessful invade there, being caught on vision for mid lane, but what can you do?
actually,
Dreadful missing the dash as well. Uh,
it
the
looks like
vital procking.
this Wukong's gonna start in the top, so he's actually gonna path down.
Yep.
And looks like he's gonna get a leash from the Garen. So
To be honest, I think that's a good idea.
yeah,
I think that just jungling in general, I think it's the safer option to path downwards.
yeah,
I mean, obviously, Ordinal and Steamroller should not be playing this pretty aggressive, knowing the champs that they are, right? But we do see Ordinal take the Dorans instead of the Cole start that we're used
yeah.
to him seeing on Aphelios, so they might be stepping up a little bit. And if I'm Wukong, I'm trying to give your ADC as much support as he can this early game. Trying to get him as much as he can. Even if it's not kills, it's the pressure in lane, knowing that it's almost a 3v2 that you can kind of play around with.
Yeah, so we are seeing counter pathing from the junglers. Ooh, looks like he's the jungler's gonna do a 3 camp where he takes his red, blue, and then ground.
And we have the pullout from Nautilus, the E from Steamroller missing. Steamroller getting chipped to half health, Misfortune stepping up, getting a couple of kills there, or getting a couple of damage shots in.
Yeah, that's not too good for the Tarek. Usually you want to hit that stun first, right? But he misses that stun, and so he kind of pays the price for it with a lot of his health.
It's a little bit tough. I mean, biggest thing for Nautilus this game, especially when you're going to dive into that Taric, like we saw there, you have to know where to step next, right? You can't do your normal route in and then immediately auto afterwards, because Taric's E comes in before you can auto that,
Yeah.
right? You can get caught out pretty easily, and you saw right there, did a good job of being able to queue in, right? And then sidestep before the actual hit.
Look at this mid lane gank right here. This is what you were talking about.
We
You
have
get the
wall,
flash.
and there's the flash, and then the pillar up from Vector as well.
Oh, and the stun!
from Anivia, and there's the first blood going to Trundle. I mean, that's what we talked about in this
Yeah.
mid lane. Having those 3 CCs, especially on Lux, a character that can't dash without flash, just really, really tough to play this lane.
Yeah, literally went exactly as you said. You know,
Yep.
getting that flash out, but he flashed too early, and he flashed before the pillar came out. So once that flash came up, Vector's just like, oh, I guess I could just pillar you and you can't move, and then the stun followed up.
I mean, great on Vector for being able to wait on that pillar, especially like knowing that he can probably get that flash out. A couple of engages here from Dreadful, having that vital on the top, proccing it again, getting the grass healing.
Wukong's here.
The flash
with
as
the
well,
flash.
and the gank from Wukong coming out. Flash away from Steamroller, but the pull in the Q, and Misfortune's going to pick up the kill on Taric, the stun not being enough. Top lane getting a little bit chippy here. MF Jakimbo getting the stun, E, and then electrocute proc with the auto as well. A couple of trades going on. Bot lane, we were mentioning earlier, Wukong pathing this bot, trying to get this Misfortune as much as she can. Really, we're seeing it here. Ordinal getting a couple of shots in as well, proccing that red gun Q. Walking up with the slow from the, with the root from the purple gun.
Yeah, I think the MF getting that kill there is super important, right?
And we see Trundle in this top lane as well. Dreadful going. Garen just trying to walk back, but probably not going to be able to get out of this as Dreadful picks up the kill. Trundle looking to path a little bit towards this Rift Herald that should be coming up in a couple of minutes. Just getting a couple of pings in.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge from Trundle, right? He's already making his impact. You know, he saw that the play bot lane happened, so he's like, okay, I can just go top lane because there's no counter jungling there. So he just
Definitely.
goes and he gives a huge kill over to Fiora. This gank mid, I wish you would have gave it to the Anivia, right?
Hmm.
I think you'd rather have the kill on her than the Trundle.
Yep,
Uh, but still, great ganks from Vector. He does see
definitely.
the Nautilus up here.
Yep, the Nautilus is roaming a little bit. The Lux is probably going to follow up as well. The Nautilus Q back on the Trundle as well. Dreadful getting hit down with this Garen. Garen not be able to get 6 before securing that kill. Being able to walk out and Michikimbo sidestepping a route there.
Now, that was scary right there
Yeah.
for Dreadful. I think he overstayed just a little bit, but
We're getting flashbacks here in the booth. Seeing Dreadful just kind of sit in that wave.
that ego.
Not really move.
We love the Dreadful ego, but sometimes it gets him killed a couple of times.
Sometimes
but-
it gives it away a little bit, and we really want to give him this lead here. We do see Nautilus walking back on Vision, so Ordinal and Steamroller are going to back up here. Like you were talking about, with the counter jungling, right? You saw that Wukong is bot. Wukong made a great play, especially with their with Bethel's bot lane being able to secure a kill, especially on Steamroller as well. With Nautilus holding that Q, you can kind of see he's very comfortable, right? He knows when he wants to Q, he knows when he wants to auto, and he's not spamming, right? The biggest like skill gap that you can find from Nautilus outside of just hitting like your roots, right, is knowing when you can walk up and auto, when you can catch someone, and when you have to Q, right? Saving that Q means the world when it comes to winning these fights, winning these trades. And we're seeing that especially in a couple of these fights, but great organization from Bethel's bot lane being able to secure the kill on Steamroller. Trundle and Vector seeing that in that top lane going, hey, like, we got to make something back, right? We can't just let this go unanswered. And showing off there that the map presence that both of these jungles are having is starting to really impact this game.
Yeah, if you look at the goal lead, right, it's pretty even, right? And you look to the scoreboard and you see what the MF was able to do with that kill in the pressure that she was able to put on the bottom lane with the Terragon, right? Able to create that pretty big CS lead this early on, right?
Yep.
Able to really suppress the Aphelios so he can't really get that much CS, really putting herself ahead. But
we have to be careful here. If Garen steps up one more time, especially with Fiora R up, he could just get all in, especially sitting at half health with the vitals. First
And
Dragon
Dreadful-
going over to Bethel, just kind of taking advantage of the back timers that Valpo was forced.
yeah, and you talked about going in. It's like
Oh,
Dreadful is
looks like-
someone who's not afraid to go in. Oh, this is scary.
We do have Nautilus just kind of sitting in the river here, getting caught out, and the
Oh,
kill going
Tarek
to
gets it.
Steamroller with the E.
Little
You
bit
kind
of
of
chaos.
we kind of overestimate how much damage that stun does from Tarek.
I was a little bit surprised, to be honest. I was like, he took that, really?
Yeah, no. Maybe timed with an auto, right? Maybe
Yeah.
we didn't catch it in the booth here, but I mean,
It's still a
little
huge
bit.
kill, you know? Really just like catching out that Nautilus, like, hey, we see you on this control where it's like, what are you doing? Like,
mhm.
you really have no one around you, right?
Yep.
So that was just a really easy kill for Vector.
Definitely. I mean, we saw the Q outwards, but I guess without the flash, right, using that hex flash from earlier, you really can't see what's like going on in that head.
Yeah.
we need to figure out what's going on. And then Q coming out, hitting the minion, being able to pull up, just trying to walk up, chip going on to Steamroller. Probably just gonna be healed right back. Couple of pings coming up from Fiora in this top lane.
Yeah, that MF is just gonna get scarier and scarier, especially with her Q damage, right? She already has Noon Quiver and that pickaxe, right? So she's already has like a lot more AD than the Aphelios has this early on.
Yep.
Which what he gained from that kill. Oh, the
So you
flash
see the
coming from
Wukong dash in and flash as well, hitting the R. Dreadful popping the R on Wukong as well, trying to hit these vitals. The flash in from Garen, being able to hit down the espresso and not being able to get the kill. Vector coming in and counter jungling, picking up one kill on the Garen, turning it, forcing Wukong to walk behind. Maybe looking for a little bit of support
The
here.
Anivia and the
dash in
Lux
as
are
well.
here.
Anivia and Lux walking up as well. Anivia getting the stun and the kill on Wukong. Lux being forced to walk back as Anivia and Trundle walk. Probably going to take Rift off of this, pinging for a couple of help. As it's going down in that top lane, we do see Misfortune almost out of mana and alone here in the spot lane as Nautilus is forced to walk back down through river.
This is a Valpo masterclass, really. that Garen was just chasing so hard for that Fiora, right, to get his R off, but just couldn't get the R off. So low,
Was
and then
yeah.
the rotate from the Anivia so good, but
Yeah.
and then they just get the free Rift Herald off of this.
Unless Lux has a steal here, and then
Oh, he gets a
shutdown on
shutdown
Vector.
instead.
It looks like she's gonna walk up. Rift Herald is gonna heal a little bit, but she might be able to just take this as Wukong is there as well, and they lose Rift Herald.
That is huge for Bethel, getting that shutdown and the Rift Herald. Wow, what an R from the Lux.
They turned that play from completely on Valpo's side to now. I mean, you gave Rift, right? You did lose two, but you did give Rift away there. Which is really important. I mean, we don't talk about it enough in this booth here, how important Rift Herald is as an early game objective, right?
Yeah.
Especially with platings, you can really just designate like one person on your team to get, like plus 500 gold.
And I think they're just about to, he's kind of going towards the bot lane. I would just give it to the MF, right? You're already so far ahead, right? And we've kind of already talked about how, like, your win con really is his bot lane, right? So why not give it to her, right? To push her even farther ahead. But man, that such a good awareness ult from the Lux, being able to get that done, really turning a negative into a positive for Bethel.
I mean, as we talked about earlier in this game, we do have the pull, never mind, from this bot lane here. Nautilus Q coming in, the Steamroller R as well, making people invulnerable. The flash coming out from Nautilus on the side. Wukong still in the backline on Ordinal. Ordinal forced the flash out. Nautilus missing the Q, but pulling in on the wall, getting Steamroller's flash as well. Anivia is now in this bot lane as well, chasing down this Wukong, turning around, trying to find this Nautilus as well. The wall out and the stun too. Nautilus is going to go down to MF Jakimbo here. Turning it. Lux is on that dragon there. Lux being able to throw E over the wall, getting that kill on Tarek.
Was Tarek kind of just... was Steamroller kind of just sleeping there? It kind of looked like he just stood in it for a second.
I don't know.
I don't know if he
might have had just a DC.
I don't know if he was like looking at his screen, or was like looking around the map, but he was just kind of like standing there. I was like, are you gonna walk to the side? No, he's kind of just like walking up. Bit of a misplay, but also I think we are gonna see this Rift Herald drop bot.
Yeah,
but I want to talk about the Ordinal cleanse. I mean, he cleansed Wukong Q. So
a little bit of just a preemptive cleanse, maybe get that tenacity that it gives. But as we saw, right, we dropped that Rift Herald bot lane, and also Wukong walked away from it too, giving literally all the gold to Misfortune. That's the whole point of it. We talked about intention.
Will get it anyway. Wukong gets the gold anyway. When you drop the Rift Herald, you get the gold.
Yeah, but you don't also like share the XP.
Oh yeah, from there. I forgot about that.
Yeah, you're good. But being able to just walk away, right? We see the intention. We just need to get that Misfortune ahead. That's all Bethel needs, right? I say we as talking in Bethel's favor, but as Valpo Esports, right? Looking for anything to back this up now, because you do have one drag on each side. This Misfortune is level 9 in comparison to Nautilus is level 6. And then same on Valpo Esports' side. Just giving as much as you can, right? We're starting to see a little bit of a snowball going on. You have the Divine Sunder in top lane with the Fiora. You have the Leandries on Anivia, now 2-0-1. Once Ordinal's able to build really his second item, I think we'll see that bot lane get going, but Valpo has to play around this. Now that Misfortune has Kraken, she is much more of a threat than she was before, and now Bethel can play around her. The huge stun going off there as well. Ordinal being able to walk up and root too, but the R and then the knock up from Nautilus getting that kill. The R coming out from Ordinal, but not being able to get out anything as he dies first.
Yeah, press the attack Misfortune with Kraken is really, really dangerous.
Yep.
You kind of just auto attack, Q auto attack, and there goes half their health, right? Especially for the ADC. And you get the turret from this. Really good from Bethel playing around their bot side, getting this MF ahead, looking really, really scary right now. She's about to back, has her tier 2 boots and that BF sword.
Yep. I mean, we have to be careful here. Misfortune is going to start moving around a little bit, especially getting that first tower. Probably going to path to this mid side, let Lux roam around a little bit.
4 people on the top side right now. 5
looks
actually,
like
all 5.
If Dreadful's not
Dreadful needs
careful,
him.
it
Yeah,
looks like
I think he
he might get
realizes
caught
it.
out here. He sees the Wukong coming up as well, but the rest of his team's not able to get up there. Um, might be just, yeah, it looks like they're swapping lane. They're trying to give this Misfortune, this top lane, uh, Nautilus being able to sit up there. Really just trying to sit on this Dreadful here, which makes sense. I mean, before Fiora can get fed, Divine Sunder is nasty for Fiora, but she is still a 1v1 champ until like her second, third item. Especially until that Ravenous Hydra. Without Ravenous Hydra, she really has a hard time dealing with crowd control and dealing with people like in multiple different places. So having the Misfortune and Nautilus go up to pressure a little bit, and they might have a collapse here on this mid lane as well, trying to match Valpo Esports' bot lane. They can just throw away with the plan of, we're going to go match top lane, we're going to give Garen back that lane, make sure Fiora can't do anything. I might have just like preemptively spoke a little bit there, my fault.
Yeah, right now, if you're Valpo Esports, right, you're kind of just like looking at your winning lanes and you're like, all right, Fiora, uh, what can you do for this game, right? We're just gonna let Aphelios kind of just farm in this mid lane to try to get to that 2 item power spike that you said, right? Because we talked about this MF late game scary. Aphelios late game is also equally just as scary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, known for his late game damage and just crazy. And really, once you get to that late game, right, that's
Mm-hmm.
when this luck starts to kind of fall off too, right? So
Yep.
you're seeing her do like a bunch of damage, right? But I feel like towards the later game, like the later end of the game, she starts to fall off. Same thing with this Nautilus. Nautilus is kind of like a late game champion where he's like, if you're going in, you're just gonna die because you're not coming out of this alive because he's really not as tanky as you think unless he has his W up.
Yep. I mean, we saw now the reason why they did path that top side, right? Not having that dragon up, dragon going up in 1 minute, but having that Rift Herald up, they were able to 4-man it, take it out pretty easy, secure another maybe like tower for Bethel.
Yeah.
Now setting up around Vision, just trying to clear this up, get some space for this dragon, especially with Hextech Soul coming up. That ability haste is just too strong for both comps right now. It's really just a good dragon in general.
Yeah.
Comp or no comp.
Yeah, what Wukong can look to do here, right, is drop this Rift Herald, try to push in this wave mid and drop that Rift Herald. Yeah, you see the pings mid, drop that Rift Herald mid. So Valpo has to make the decision: are we gonna go towards this dragon or are we gonna go towards this mid lane? And like this early on, you're just gonna have to go towards this mid lane and really give up the dragon.
Yep. I mean, one Hextech Drake, while it is annoying, right, is not worth losing tier 1 and 2 towers,
Yeah.
right? Especially if Bethel were to leave someone in that lane, which really you don't expect, but if they were, right, it's just too much, right?
Yeah.
You can't get to that tier 3 tower. And we might have a little bit of an engage here as well. The Wukong dash in and knock up a huge Lux R, chipping like half the health. Vector going down to Misfortune. Misfortune 4-0-1 right now, and just them getting zoned off.
Well, looks like you can have mid tower and dragon when you
Yep.
just pick off the jungler like that. Bethel just gonna make the easy rotation down towards dragon. They're pinging for this Lux to go pick up that bot wave right now. But really, if you're Valpo, you kind of just need to slow the game down, right? You're kind of just you're 3K gold down, right?
Mhm.
Or yeah, 3K gold down. Math a little bit
Yeah,
iffy
no.
right now. But yeah, your 3K go down, right? You just need to calm down a little bit, right? Really feed your Aphelios, right? Feed your Fiora, and just play towards the late game at this point.
I mean, for Valpo Esports' side looking into this game, right, you're still waiting for that power spike with the Aphelios. There hasn't really been that 5v5 team fight with Tarek that we were expecting. Anivia, right, it's more of just like a utility champ, so we're looking for team fights here. Really, like, the only power spike that we've hit is that Fiora Divine Sunderer, and both her and Garen have not been able to affect anyone in these lanes yet, right? In these early game fights. So for Valpo Esports, I agree with you, right? You're looking to slow this game down. If you slow this game down, if you're able to play around your power spikes, right? Bethel has hit them. Bethel has hit the Misfortune Power Spike, which is one item, and then going right next and rushing that BT. The flash coming in from Nautilus, and the R as well. Dreadful Wing that Nautilus R, trying to stun it. Getting the R out on Garen, hitting a couple of vitals, forcing him to back up, and it looks like the gank will be unsuccessful. But speaking about Bethel, right? They've hit the Power Spike with that Misfortune. They have the Wukong. Oh, and we have another engage up here. The Vector R coming out the Vector R coming out as well. The teleport coming in from Anivia, but then there's a counter Tifi as well coming in from Lux. The flash in from the Wukong and the R as well. Vector's gonna get caught out again. BU Chill Viber picking up a third kill, or picking up his first kill of the game here.
That was really good from Bethel, really seeing like, hey, we see the TP from Anivia. Can we rotate up top? And they can, and they get the 5v4 fight that they wanted, and they get Vector, right. So they're just like, no jungler. MF is pretty strong right now.
Go straight.
We do a lot of Baron damage. You know, we have a pretty good damage comp for Baron. If they can't counter smite it, let's just go.
They're gonna have to walk up here. You have the R coming from Tarek, being able to walk in. MF Chikimbo picking up a kill on the Wukong. Their jungle going down. That might be enough to stop their Baron. Garen walking into that backline, getting a kill, but Dreadful getting the kill on the backline as well. Misfortune picking up the shot. Ordinal walking down on Garen, getting this kill. Have to be careful here, though. You still do have MF full health up, and you have Lux close to full health. Vector is able to return back, and they are going to successfully stop that Baron take.
Yeah, that was huge from Valpo, walking in and being able to stop that Baron. After the whole top and the Baron fight, it really came out even 3 for 3, right? But if you're just talking the Baron fight, that's 3 dead for Bethel and only 2 dead for Valpo. Fiora getting a kill there, which is huge. Also, Aphelios also getting a kill there, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can see him before his two power spike, that damage that he was doing to Garen, which was basically nothing, really. So hopefully that kill will kind of boost his second item spike, like pretty good.
Yep. I mean, looking at Aphelios right now, right, 1-1-3, 141. Looking for just kind of that gold. We're seeing the effect really of not starting with that coal. Well, it did give a little bit more early game presence. The gold that you're expecting kind of at this game is going to be a little bit staggered, especially playing into someone that is as good as this Bethel bot lane, right? Yeah. Is definitely their strongest thing. So playing into it, you can't expect a great game, right? You can't expect to play really well in lane. You have to give something here. And we're seeing kind of the effects, especially on that gold.
Yeah, and that coal just kind of just like says, hey, I'm not looking to fight. I'm looking to sit back, scale, right? Which is like really what you want to do with Aphelios, right? You kind of just want to scale, right? Having kills early is nice, but I mean, you're not really expecting to get that against this MF, right? Mm-hmm. With how good he has been over the season. So
I mean, we're looking right now, a couple of pings. Looks like Bethel was setting up for Baron, but seeing that Lux was bot lane with no TP, probably the smart decision to not like move around it, right? To not try and force that fight there, especially with no rotation option. MF Chikimbo getting sat here, Garen queuing in, but being able to get walled off. The stun as well. Misfortune E coming in, slowing down Steamroller. Looks like it's just gonna be a little bit of a stalemate.
Yeah, pings towards a dragon. This would be a huge dragon for Bethel, as this would put them on soul point. But yeah, this is like where MF wants to be, right? You're in like the close encounters of the jungle, right? So her R really has a huge impact because you can't really dodge it, right? Because you're so stuck in this close corners.
Drag coming in right now as well. The root over the wall and MF Chikimbo. Nautilus going in, queuing, and being able to hit Vector as well. Vector getting dashed out, the flash out as well, the stun, but not going to be enough as Misfortune gets that Q off, finishing that kill. And without jungle now, Bethel's going to feel pretty strong being able to walk up and start this drag.
Yeah, this should just be a free dragon for Bethel, unless something crazy happens.
I mean, we might look for an Ordinal R, and having that blue weapon up is really good in these close range fights. Being able to walk up. But it looks like there won't be much there as Red Team does take this dragon. Another pull in from this Nautilus, and there's a huge ult from that Aphelios. So a ton of damage as well. Everybody going down to 1 health. Lux being able to caught from the side, trying to finish off that kill on trying to finish off that kill on Anivia. Anivia surviving on literally 1 health. Just a little bit unlucky there.
That was a good shutdown, right? You don't
Yep.
really expect them to get the dragon after Vector dies, so just being able to get something out of that, where you get the shutdown on the Lux is really good for the Anivia, especially. She is going to start doing a ton of damage
Yep.
this late game, but just how important the if that the 2-item spike is on Ophelia, because if he probably has a 2-item spike, there's a good chance he kills with that R, right?
Yep.
Bringing everybody so low, right?
I mean, he is going that second item, Lord Dominic's.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. I mean, you're playing into a tankier comp. But Misfortune finishing that collector, and that's dangerous. I mean, we talked about the first item power spike, and we're like, yeah, it's done. But now with collector,
Now she's on a 3-item power spike.
every item, you know what? That's what we should have said. Every item is a power spike for Misfortune. She's great, especially the way that Bethel's bot lane has been playing this game. It makes it look even stronger than in reality it is. But I mean, as much as we talk about how well they're playing it, you have to give credit to Valpo's bot lane as well, hanging in here.
Yeah.
Being able to reduce, like going 1-1-4, reduce the damage that this Misfortune can do, give Aphelios, give Ordinal time to scale, and I think we're gonna see it in a couple of these late games fights with only a 3k gold deficit, which isn't really much considering the 26-minute mark. We're gonna start seeing these people come out. We have the Wukong dash out.
No, yeah. The Bethel comp really has some champions that really fall off. Uh, like the Wukong, right? He's not like super strong late game, right? He really hits his power spike once he gets that R, right? See the Nautilus.
We have a huge damage here as well, but Misfortune R coming out as well. Tarek R coming in. Steamroller in the back lines as well. MFG Kimbo being able to get that pick on Nautilus. We have a little bit of an engage in the spot lane as well. R from Fiora coming out. The flash as well. Trying to get a couple of those dashes in. The shot up, the healing is going to be enough for Dreadful to get that solo kill on Garen. I mean, these late games, you talked about characters that fall off. Garen, Wukong, Lux are not exactly your favorite late game champions, right? And we're seeing now in facing against a Fiora with Ravenous.
Yeah, and what I said with the Nautilus, right? He kind of just goes in, and you saw that he goes in. He has no really easy way to escape, right? He doesn't have his flash, so he kind of just dies, right? And then you see the huge play in the bot lane with the Fiora taking over being able to take 1v1 that Garen, right?
Yep.
And then Valpo able to turning that into a Baron, which is huge now. And we talked about that gold deficit. You're like, it's not that big, and it really isn't, because now they're up 1,000 gold.
Yep, that was the fight that they were looking for. I mean, making sure that Garen couldn't TP in for that Baron fight with Dreadful's pick, being able to pick the Nautilus as well, which is really one of their main forms of engage outside of that Wukong. And Wukong, you can't risk engaging in a Baron fight when you know you have to have him up for Baron. Yeah. Kind of giving that fight to Valpo, changing that gold lead like we were talking about, and now you have the LDR, you have the Gale Force. We're going to start seeing this bot lane come alive. We talked about Steamroller's Tarek being something that's very strong. We saw the Nautilus being super effective this early game, but now Tarek being able to, or Steamroller being able to use that R, engage with it, right? Walk up, make sure that he can gain ground using his R, not just use it in a defensive state, but use it offensively, is huge playing into these fights, and we're seeing it take effect. But what Valpo has to be careful of right now, 40 seconds until Soul Point is up. They cannot give Soul Point to Hextech Drake, or it's almost like Barons doesn't exist.
Yeah, you have to take this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dreadful doing really good here with pushing this mid wave in, making them respond.
Yep, and you have to be careful.
Tower.
Yep, we saw it. Right now it's a 5v5. You have to be careful. Lux is around that corner, but a couple of people hiding in bushes before this drag is up, trying to get that like cheeky pick before people actually go down.
If I'm Vector, I'm playing safe right here because the last couple of dragon fights, he's gone down early and it gives
Yep.
over the dragon, and you just cannot do that.
He is sitting on his R right now, so it makes sense why they would be dangerous. And there's the R from the Lux as well. A huge dash in R from Misfortune as well, picking up a double kill. Dreadful being caught in the back line. Garen picking up that kill. Ordinal walking back as well. The Nautilus Q missing. A lot of damage going off, but that was 3 down. A huge engage from Bethel being able to jump out with that first hand. All you have is Ordinal and MF Jakimbo up right now with Dragon being taken. MF Jakimbo dropping that Anivia R on that Dragon here, trying to get that a huge stun on that Lux, but Soul Point is going to go over to Bethel.
Yeah, that feels bad for Ordinal. Really not the best guns for a team fight. Red and white, you're really looking for the blue gun, right? Because that's really what you want to get your R off in the team fights. Because of that AoE damage that it splashes off, didn't have that. So when he did R, it really didn't do that much damage or make that much of an effect. But I mean great engage from Bethel, being able to target the Terra, great, and get him down early, and it kind of just created a snowball effect, right?
I mean, we saw it was right off of that Lux root, right? You hit the Lux root, you have the Nautilus R, you dash in with the Wukong, you have the Misfortune. Especially in River, Bethel knew what was going on, right? There's a reason that they didn't hang around in those bushes for long. There's a reason that they all moved up, because once they spotted those 5, once they had them on vision, they were going to get that first hand. We've seen really these fights are being won by people who have that first attack, not so much as a counter attack, right? But we haven't seen many turns this game. It's really been, I'm gonna engage first, I'm gonna get the CC first, and whoever gets that is going to win these fights, especially with how much chain that we're seeing Bethel really come out with now. We talked about earlier in the game, there wasn't really much of a like CC that they could have, but they are proving us wrong here. You have the Lux root, you have the Nautilus, and you have the Wukong knockup, and they're playing really well around it. Talking about Valpo Esports right now, although you did lose Soul Point, and that is pretty huge, right? If we're talking gold, you didn't lose much here. You still have Dreadful pressuring those side lanes. You still have those towers taken. You have to play with your advantage. You can't give that Soul Point and then give that into another objective. You have to be able to fight for that next one. So, and obviously, you know, that's the most general advice that I could ever give to anything. Just try again. But you can't be discouraged by losing that Soul Point. Because if you, again, we talked about fights are won by people taking the first hand. If you get discouraged by that soul and you let them take those first engages, you're not going to win any more fights. You can't get scared from that. You have to be able to go back in again.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to this Elder fight in 3.5 minutes, I think, right? You know, gold is basically even, right? Just a couple hundred gold, a couple hundred gold really separating the two teams, right? So it's really gonna come down, unless something crazy happens, or it could come down at this Baron fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if one team really just like throws like the whole fight, it won't even need to go to the Elder, right?
Yep.
But I feel like you don't really want to throw the game on this Baron. I think you'd rather throw it on the Elder, right? But Dreadful doing a really good job here, keeping this pressure bot lane, right? He does have that TP for this Baron fight if they do decide to take it, right? TP in. So both top laners have it. But really what we're seeing is like the major difference is the 2-level lead up top, right? On the side of Dreadful, and then you have the 2-item lead for the Bethel in the ADC role. So it's really like who can carry more in this team fight, really.
Yep.
Who can make more of an impact, the MF or the Fjord? And right now in team fights, we've seen that the MF has made a lot more impact on these fights.
I think that Bethel is playing really well around their ADC right now.
Yeah.
You see that they are chaining team fights together, right? They are walking up and they're providing enough cover for MF to play around. I think if Valpo Esports groups a little bit better, rather than walking in kind of blindly. When I say group, I don't mean just like walk all together at the same time, because that's what happened last fight, but be able to coordinate when like they're attacking from different angles. I think that's the biggest part in allowing Ordinal to do more work. If they don't let Ordinal work for them, it's going to be a little bit hard for them to get back in this game.
Bethel is just going to be starting up this dragon. Oh my goodness, they are
Oh
melting
my
it pretty
goodness.
fast. This MF is melting this Baron.
Misfortune's kind of looking a little bit like a
Oh.
funny guy. We do have a shot here as well. Of course, you know, thank you, league client. Appreciate that.
Huge
What
fight.
the hell, man?
We just missed the
You gotta
biggest
be
fight.
kidding me!
We just missed the biggest fight in the entire game with Valpo
The
taking it.
client logged off.
The client logged off. Oh my goodness. That was
Valpo Esports with a huge fight, getting a triple kill as well, flashing up, getting a couple of shots, taking that bear and trying to run this down. Garen still attacking, being forced to walk off as Tarek taking that melee matchup and kind of knocking around. Thank you, League of Legends client, for just crashing on us. Appreciate that. The
I can't
worst time
believe it.
possible.
That was huge fight.
I
Let's
flipped back on. MFG Kimbo's triple killed, and we're taking Baron, and I'm losing my mind.
All right, so let's talk about this. They get the triple kill, right?
Yep.
This looks like an unwinnable fight for Valpo. Free
Yep.
Baron for Bethel. Valpo turned the fight. They win the fight. 3, get the Baron, and then Elder's up in 20 seconds. And I don't think that Bethel can, like, they're going to contest this, right?
I don't think they will.
But I don't think they win, right? Look at the goal lead, right? This far out of the game, 4K goal goes a long way. It's looking like if Valpo win this fight, this game's over.
Yeah, we have to see, though. If Bethel wins this fight, they will have Elder Dragon Execution. While they won't have Baron or Wave Push, they do have that Tier 3 mid. And obviously, thanks to League Client breaking, we know that the game does end pretty soon here. We don't know who wins, but this probably will be the last fight of this game.
Honestly, before the Baron fight, I thought it was Bethel
I thought-
because I thought they'd take that Baron and they make it towards the Elder and they just. But now I don't know what.
Yeah,
what the hell
now
happens.
we don't know what to think anymore. You have a couple of shots here. Elder Dragon probably gonna get pulled out maybe by a huge stun and R as well. The Zanya's coming out, but it's not gonna be
That's
enough
huge.
as Lux goes down.
Look at
And
this!
then
Look
the
at this
stun
Fiora
as
mid lane.
well.
This Fiora just might just end
Fiora
the
is
game.
just ending game. Who cares? A huge R coming out as well, but Tarek and Anivia
Oh my
picking up 2
goodness.
kills as well. The Garen R'ing in the backline, but it's not gonna be enough.
If this MF
So
goes
he
down,
hits-
you really don't have a lot of damage, right? Okay, now
It
you have
goes
the.
down. Yep, MFG
The
Kimbo,
Fiora's
but it
just
does
gonna
not
end the
matter.
game.
Fiora is just in the middle.
What
and it's-
just happened,
This
dude?
is gonna be game for Valpo Esports.
I am flabbergasted.
Dreadful just playing PvE in the mid lane right now, not even fighting people, and that's gonna be game. Valpo Esports picking up game 1 of the match.
We just missed the game-deciding fight because of billion-dollar company.
Small indie company. Small indie company. Woo!
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
Let's go. No, but I mean, we talked about it. A couple of those fights a little bit dangerous, and I'm really mad because I wanted to make a point. I'm like, yeah, we saw who was engaging. Then we didn't even see who engaged. Well, we don't know who engaged on that Baron fight, but we know that it went well. We saw MFG Kimbo start to use that utility of Anivia, get those stuns in, get those walls. A ton of damage from that electrocute. Ton of damage going out. Dreadful, once he got that death stance, just able to walk mid lane. Had that Renduin's Omen as well for that 1v1. Just overall, super dangerous. Super dangerous.
We talked about like the CS different bot lane, right? But looking at the stats right now, or the Aphelios only had 100 less damage or 1,000 less damage. So he was with the MF.
Yep.
So he was really keeping up with the damage of the game, even though he was down gold, which is super important, right? But I mean, wow, that Anivia just took over, right?
Yep.
Just took over the game. You could see the Lux kind of just fell off, and they kind of just fell off in late team fights to where they were losing a 4v5, right? Because Fiora was just walking right down mid. And you talked about it, like, don't let the soul bring you down, right? And it didn't, right? They just said, okay, they have soul, right? This is still an
Still
easy
have to
winnable game.
contest.
That you
Still
still
have
have
to
to
contest.
contest. You still have to play like the game isn't over, right? You hear so many statistics like if you lose soul, right? You have like a 10% chance of winning the game if you don't have soul, right? If you lose that soul. But that 10% doesn't mean like there's a 10% for a reason, right? It's not 100% that you lose soul, you lose, or you win the game. So it just great for Valpo keeping in the game.
Yep. And I mean, way to stick in it. way to come out game one. Give yourself a little bit of leeway, kind of to play around this game too. We are going to take a quick break here until we get into draft two of game two of the semifinals NECC playoffs, Valpo Esports versus Bethel, and we'll see you guys then.
I just realized I've built walls a mile high to protect my heart, but now I'm all alone, stuck on the inside. The heart doesn't need a castle, it needs a bridge. Been too scared that I unravel. Brick by brick, I built these walls. Now I know that I am strong. Just watch me tear them down. I'm gonna tear them down. If it couldn't break your heart, is it really love? If it can't tear you apart, is it really love? Just watch me march towards the battle. I'm gonna tear down this castle. I'm gonna tear down this castle. I'm gonna tear down this castle. Watch me march. If it couldn't break your heart, is it really love? If it can't tear you apart, is it really love? If it couldn't break your heart, is it really love? If it can't tear you apart, is it really love? I criticized myself for trusting lies. I know I can't hide, 'cause then I'd be alone, stuck on the inside. The heart doesn't need a castle, it needs a bridge. Been too scared that I unravel. Brick by brick, I built these walls. Now I know that I'm enough. Just watch me tear them down. I'm gonna tear them down. If it couldn't break your heart, is it really love? If it can't tear you apart, is it really love? Just watch me march towards the battle. I'm gonna tear down this castle. I'm gonna tear down this castle. I'm gonna tear down this castle. Watch me march. If it couldn't break your heart, is it really love? If it can't tear you apart, is it really love? If it couldn't break your heart, is it really love? If it can't tear you apart, is it really love?
And welcome back, everyone, to Game 2 of Valpo Esports' NECC Semifinals Playoff series against Bethel Pilots. First game going to Valpo Esports, we saw Misfortune pop off there, and kind of expecting a series of bans come out to the ADC again
Yeah.
from Valpo Esports' side. But what I'm expecting here is we're going to sub that Lucian for Misfortune, right?
Uh,
I don't think you can give the Sivir, and I don't think you can give.
the Samira. I
Yeah,
think what we're gonna see instead, right? I think we're gonna see a Fiora ban from the side of Valpo, right? Not wanting to give over that Fiora, because
now that
Bethel
Bethel has first pick.
Bethel has first. Oh,
Nope,
Bethel
Bethel
bans the
bans
Fiora, so I
Fiora just
guess
to get
not.
it out the way.
I guess not. We might see the Lucian here, or we might see the MF. Not sure.
I
I don't
really
think
think you should ban the MF here.
I don't know if Valpo want to play against Solution Nami, right? That's what they're talking about right
Hmm.
now. Would we rather play against Solution Nami or the MF Nautilus again, right?
Yeah,
What are we thinking, right?
I, d-
Um,
I don't think you can.
the ban the Wukong? That's
But they get the
interesting.
Wukong out. Okay.
I don't.
Obviously, Coach Blade's got something up his sleeve.
I
Uh,
guess so. I don't know if the Wukong really stood out to me last game, right? It probably feels different when you're playing the game, right?
yeah,
But I didn't really feel like he kind of stood out as like someone major in the game. Oh, they're
yep,
gonna first
and
pick Syndra. That's
yep.
interesting.
I mean, Bethel Pilots electing to not ban that Syndra, having that first pick makes sense. I mean, yeah, you want to take that hyper carry. We know that Bethel Pilots' mid laner likes to play Syndra, so having that first pick and then having the option to ban Fiora as well, um, just overall like good move I think on their part. But we're gonna have to see who Valpo decides to counter pick. Might see a support pick come out here, and there's the ADC of
Aphelios
Felios as well.
right away. Yeah,
Yep. I mean,
just a safe pick, right?
yeah.
You're really Ordinal's really comfortable on the Aphelios, right? See, so kind of just feeling out the draft a little bit right here. Probably gonna go with a mid lane pick right here if I had to say, right? You're kind of just like talking about what you want to do, and then it comes in the
Hmm.
last second. Like let's just pick Aphelios.
Yep.
Classic Coach Blade waiting to the last second to pick.
Yep. I mean, I don't think that's on Coach Blade. I think
No,
it's just
no,
the
it's
team
on the
arguing. Yeah.
it's on
I
the
think
players deciding what they want to play.
it's
But
definitely he asked someone, right? And then they go silent for like 15 seconds and then they like offer three picks.
yeah,
But
the
I
Lulu
mean,
really strong here.
yeah,
I do like that.
Aphelios Lulu is a combo that we know is very, very prevalent. And it's good to blind pick as well. I don't
Yeah,
think there's many picks on Bethel that they could come out with, right? Even with that Nautilus and go, oh,
Karma.
like, oh no, right? Karma definitely gonna have a little bit more early game presence,
I
mid
think we're
game
gonna see the
presence.
Ezreal here.
You
Ezreal
think so?
Karma. I think so. To kind of play like that a pretty aggressive lane.
Yeah.
Um, and if you're
And the
Caitlyn,
Caitlyn makes sense.
also another pushy lane, right?
Yep.
You really get the push on this lane with the range that you have, right?
Hmm.
Um, but if I'm gonna be honest, I much prefer the Aphelios Lulu over the Caitlyn Karma,
Hmm.
especially in that late game, right?
Yep.
If we're going towards that late game, like we saw the first game go when we got to that Elder fight, right? We went so far late into the game. We also see the Nocturne, right?
Yep.
Which means that, uh,
Those new champs that like Vector hasn't pulled out so far this
yeah,
series, starting to come alive.
yeah. Also, like showing that he really wants to make an impact on the map once he hits six, right? Really getting
Yep.
those ganks.
I
Um,
mean, I've been talking to him all week, and it's all you hear, especially today, right, is just him mimicking the lights out ultimate. He just says the voice line. He's been waiting for this, and they finally gave him an opportunity. After second round of bans, Bethel not wanting to play against that Anivia again, knowing that utility, and the Aatrox getting rid of it, knowing that top lane hasn't been picked yet for Valpo Esports. It's going to open up Victor
yeah.
for MFG Kimbo, and we haven't seen a Victor game from him in a minute.
No, but
Um,
Victor is a really heavy carry champion, and giving Jakimbo a carry champion really only gives you good things, right?
Definitely.
He knows how to carry the game with these champions, right? And
And
you're
we
also
talk.
leaving the counter pick towards the top lane, right?
Yep.
Which is smart.
The
looks like it's gonna be
Mordekaiser.
the Mord.
So
Well, it could be Mordekaiser Jungle, right? Mordekaiser Jungle
mm,
is pretty strong this patch,
true,
so
true.
it could be the Mordekaiser Jungle. It's
And
gonna be
without
interesting to see what this last pick
without
is.
that Fiora as well, it's a pretty safe pick for top
Yeah,
lane. I think Fiora is the biggest counter to Mordekaiser, and I think that's really, really hard to play into that matchup. So knowing that that Fiora is going, forcing yourself to
yeah,
blind pick first, and there's the Scion,
yeah.
yeah! So
What
it is
made
going to
me
be a Mordekaiser jungle most
what
like.
made me
I mean,
think
we
the
could see Scion
Mordekaiser
jungle.
Jungle? Yeah, what made me think the Mordekaiser Jungle was the Aatrox ban, right? Because Aatrox is really, really bad into Mordekaiser top.
Yep,
So that's what made me think the jungle. But are we gonna see a Riven here? This would be great.
I would love a Riven.
I would love a Riven
Dreadful's
right
been
here.
talking about playing Riven all the time, and
Oh
there's the
my goodness,
Riven.
there's the Riven. So I don't want to be a Debbie Downer here, right?
Yep,
But Valpo really has no tanks.
Valpo does not have any tanks.
They
Yep,
have no tanks, and really their only engage is a Nocturne.
yep,
So they're playing a really one dimensional comp here, right?
yep.
They're really having like a it's gonna be interesting to see how this goes, right?
hmm
Um,
I think
but
if we're talking like scaling wise, right?
yeah,
I really like Bethel's draft.
yeah,
Bethel's draft is nasty. The Syndra, the Caitlyn, the Scion.
they have a
Um,
really good front to back comp with the Mordekaiser, the Scion,
yep.
and
They
then the back line of Syndra Karma,
we
Caitlyn.
we talk about in the league a lot of the times there are things called timer champs, right? You let them get to a certain minute in the game and they begin to take over. And Scion is slowly joining that group.
Yeah,
With his passive, with the new tank items that they have, we're probably going to see a Heartsteel build come out from this game. Uh, I like Bethel's draft here,
I do
but
too.
Valpo Esports, the thing is, I still have a lot of hope for them because these are all characters that they love playing, right? These are not characters that were thrown together this weird comp in an attempt to like put together a meta, right? We're not
Yeah,
trying to throw together, all right, these are all engaged comps. Like this is what we do, right? These are all individual people that they like playing, so they may have a little bit better lane presence, but I want to see how Valpo Esports is going to fight in these team fights.
yeah. It feels like Vapo's kind of going with like a more fun draft, right?
Yep.
You know, Bethel kind of going with a more standard draft, more meta draft, right? But I mean, we're gonna talk about this Riven, right?
hmm
Uh, Dreadful knows something we don't, right?
Yep.
Because he got this counter pick for the Riven, right? Um, so Riven is a very highly mechanical champion, right?
Yep.
And Dreadful, like in the past, has shown like, hey, he's got some mechanics, right? He's shown us his Irelia, right? So uh, if this Riven can get ahead, it's kind of just like the Fiora, right? Where he
Yep.
can just like kind of take over the game.
I,
Um,
I think this Riven pick into the Scion I think is really important as well because a lot of Scion's mechanics come around playing around your E, right? Playing around your E and your Q. Your E is the slow that you get. It's a pretty big slow. People underestimate it, right? When you think Scion, you think of his Q charge. You think of the
yeah,
knock up and you think of his R. But his E is really the key to working around his passive. It's the key to hitting your Qs. It's the key to landing your R because you do get that armor pen, right? And I think with picking this Riven, the whole idea behind it is it's that not only now do you have a way out of the Q, you have a way to negate that E by spamming your Q.
yeah,
The dashes that you get by jumping around, just dash in general with the shield and the instant stun around you, having those options are insanely important to playing into the Scion. But we are going to take a little bit of a break here before this game too. Just to prep, we'll get back into it with the runes, loadouts, and what everybody's running after spectator delay. And welcome back, everyone. As we're finishing up with this spectator delay, we're going to take a quick peek at the runes, quick peek at the summoner spells, just kind of look to see what we're looking for in this game. I'm interested in seeing that Scion top for Bethel side, if he's going to run that grasp, running that tank Scion, or if we're gonna see the funny phase rush. Oh,
Oh,
okay,
we're
it's
not
not
gonna
gonna
see
be
the.
phase rush AD Scion.
Yeah,
As much as that's definitely the better decision for Bethel,
yeah,
uh, yeah,
not the fun one.
Baus Baus fans are crying right now. It's sad, but I mean, we do see the ghost smite from Mordekaiser, pretty important. Usually that's what you want to go because Mordekaiser kind of runs people down, especially with the R. No need to like have to follow people with
Yeah.
flashing over walls or things like that. Um, Emma Chikimbo going with the first strike. Usually we see him take that airy into a lane like Syndra because having a lane like Syndra is pretty poke heavy. Vector walking into this little bush. Chill Viber just kind of chilling.
Yeah.
I
I
was
think
about to
it's
make
a.
a really unfunny joke with his name. We do have Darkrai get the 20 gold from that Spelthies, just chipping a little bit, being able to walk him back. But
Yeah, just a little intel that Vector's getting. Looks like
proc,
he's gonna start this top, and it's gonna look like what last game looked like. Or actually no, both junglers are gonna be pathing bottom. So both gonna be putting that attention towards that bot lane, right?
yep,
Um, if you're looking at this team comp, right? You're looking at this Caitlyn and you're like, okay, what's Caitlyn's like biggest weakness, right? It's tanks, right? Late game tanks. Like, how does she get that damage done?
yep.
Well, when you don't have a tanks on the other
When you
team, you
don't
don't
run
really have
tanks,
to.
I mean, hey, who
You
cares?
don't really
Right.
have to worry about that, right? So this Caitlyn's gonna do a crazy amount of damage late game, right?
Yep.
She's Caitlyn's one of those champions, right, where she's super strong to that 0 to 15 minute mark, right? And then towards that middle game, where it's like 15 to 30 minute mark, she's actually one of the weaker champions in the game, right?
Yep.
But when she gets to that late game, right? Oh my goodness, she does a lot of damage. She is really strong. So
Definitely.
uh, look at Caitlyn really just has to use her range early on in this game to get this advantage, right?
At least
That's
we are seeing the cool start again from Ordinal, right? Going back
Mhm.
to the tried and true, just get that gold up. And I think that I like this decision, right? I think that the gold advantage that he gets early from that is a lot more important than maybe the trading power that he has.
Yeah,
Um,
I think if you just look at this lane, right, you're laning against a Caitlyn, right?
Yep.
You're just not gonna win it, right? You're going against a Caitlyn Karma, super heavy on the poke in the range. It's like you're just not gonna win that lane, right? So just take the cold, take the safer option. Just farm up, right? You do see the heal now for or no instead of the cleanse from last game, but you do see the cleanse from the Caitlyn.
Yep.
I'm guessing that's either.
I mean, cleanse on Caitlyn to be able to get out of. Can you cleanse Nocturne R?
No,
Yeah.
I guess
I
is it
I would say
off
for Riven and Victor.
Riven, Victor, and then Nocturne does have a fear,
Yeah,
but
but
can you cleanse a fear?
yeah, you can
Okay,
cleanse
then
Fear.
yeah, I'm guessing that's what it is, but like
Okay. I
even
think
if you get feared for like a second, right?
yeah.
I feel like that's your Caitlyn, right? You don't have a lot of
Oh,
little
the smite
smite,
coming out of Vector
little
just stealing the scuttle
just
camp away from
walking up,
Mordekaiser there.
smites, and then
Yep.
refuses to elaborate.
Yeah. Just a little bit of a fun smite there. Missing that shot there. Good trade going out for Kato. The W coming down from MF Chikimbo, but
Yep.
not going to be enough as Nocturne hovers along with Mordekaiser.
Yeah, just kind of what we expected so far in this game, right? Bot lane pushing in on this with this Caitlyn Karma. So not really, um, not really any surprise there.
Yep.
Um,
I mean, we're seeing in this top lane as well with Riven, just as like a little bit of a CS.
Yeah, he just knows something we don't do.
Oh, like I was talking about, right? You have so much movement around that Q and that E,
Yeah.
and you have the stun, and you have so much interrupt on this Scion. Scion's a very slow character, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole point. He's slow. He tanks, out tanks you, and eventually just out healths you, right? That's his whole thing, right? But when you have so many interrupts like Riven, when you have this dash, you see the stun, you see the knockup as well, getting these hits in, another dash, being able to just trade and kind of zone them off of this wave, there's a lot of power that you have.
Yeah. Uh, just
God, I love Scion, man. Scion is my go-to top laner. He's so fun because at some point in the game you stop playing League of Legends and you just play PvE. And I think we're going to see that here. A big reason for taking Scion, I think, for Bethel is you saw in Valpo's in game one, right? Big thing for it was Dreadful side lane. You had Dreadful side lane become so dangerous, and I don't think Garen was enough of a presence. There wasn't enough presence in the side lane for Garen to be able to come to team fights. We have the root. Looks like Vector was looking for
that flash.
some type of invade, but getting the exhaust on him, trading exhaust for his flash.
Yeah, I think if he didn't flash, he also got the ghost from the Mordekaiser, right?
Yep.
But I feel like if he doesn't get that flash there, he kind of dies, right? Because that Syndra hits that stun, and then Mordekaiser's there to pull him back, right?
Yep.
So that was a good awareness flash coming from Vector.
Yep. And I mean, speaking of like Karma, we didn't really get to talk about the dynamics of this pick, but one thing that it does add is this early game roam. Karma is
Yeah.
one of the best early game roamers because of just the ability for her to jump out and hit a ranged route, right? We see Nautilus being in that lane as well. They are coming out from top lane, but not being able to get much. Pulling out this dragon, we might have a fight over it. Karma looking to knock up, Vector still having smite up, shooting around it. Mordekaiser not really finding a way to get in here, and they're probably just going to try and give this first dragon away. Walking in as well, but red team still getting that smite as well. Vector walking
Vector
up,
needs to
getting the
run.
dash and the root as well, the stun, the toss up, the R, getting 1 health, and then Caitlyn coming in and sniping with the Q as well. Orno being forced to walk back, falling on that trap, the flash away and the knock away.
Yeah, you are not
Mordekaiser's
playing
still there.
Trundle anymore,
Maybe
Vector,
hitting the
so-
Q here, getting that shot in, but the shield from Steamroller as well, getting enough chip to back off the Mordekaiser.
Yeah, Vector is not playing Trundle anymore. He
You
cannot
do
walk
not have
up like-
that. Yeah, you don't
As
have
soon
the
as-
tank for it.
As soon as that Karma hooks you to get that root, you just need to try to get out there, out of there as fast as possible. But that was really good from Bethel, right? Because they saw that they couldn't win that fight, right? So what they had was they just had the Caitlyn that entire time just farming the bot wave, pushing that in, and got a free plate. So now she's up almost double, like close to double CS, right? And has a tower plate. She
Double
like,
CS plate and was able to pick up the Q kill on that last
Yeah.
fight.
Yeah, so she is up probably the entire 1.5k gold lead. It is probably mostly on her, right?
Yep.
Because I mean, the only other gold lead, really, this huge gold lead in the game is that top lane, right?
Okay.
But it's not that big of a lead. But good for Ordinal to be able to get out there, right? He was
Yep.
able to get out of that with his life. It was looking a little scary, but he does manage to do it. But yeah,
Yep. I mean, not much you can say right there, right? Getting the turn, getting that quick kill, just pulling out as much as you can. Might see if, yep, there's another smite.
That's right.
I mean, it looked like he was just trying to play around that fear in that last
Yeah.
fight, right? You were trying to get in range to grab someone with the fear, just at least hook onto someone, but not having the space to do it. They're gonna clear a little bit of this Rift Herald vision here before evolving that pet to second form, and then maybe collapsing on this top lane. We do see Karma, Mord, and Scion with this Riven here. Riven seeing that as well, the slow coming out from Scion, but you're seeing the dashes come out from Dreadful Q, and that's kind of what we were talking about earlier, right? Just those dashes being so important to playing around Scion, because quite frankly, any other champion that gets hit with that E there is free for Karma to root, right?
Yeah.
And if he doesn't dash out of that, Mordekaiser stays in with the E, and there's really no way for him to get out.
Yeah. But yeah, just huge mobility for the Riven to be able to get out of situations like that. And then Valpo bot lane able to take advantage of the Karma up top, right? Being able to push in this bot lane, right? But uh, the Caitlyn right now is just getting solo XP, right? So she now has a 2 level, now a 1 level lead, right? But she's up a decent amount of XP and CS, right? So it's gonna be interesting. Kind of just like last game, right?
Yep.
Kind of just like, all right, you're playing Aphelios, gotta sit back and just farm, but it helps a lot more now that he has the call, right?
Yep.
It'll help push his late game spikes.
Definitely. We are seeing in this top lane as well. Riven start to fall off in that damage because you do see Sion is building Heartsteel. Heartsteel is going to be huge for Sion's damage. Not only just like his health scaling.
Well,
We do
see
have the R coming in from
insta
Vector
R.
as well. The fleet as well. Look for MF Jakimbo maybe hitting that R there, but not being able to get it. Chill Viber
Oh, the
R'ing on this
Mordekaiser
Vector,
R
trapping him in that
going in here.
Mordekaiser R. He's going to get that solo kill on Vector.
That was huge from the Syndra being able to push both, hit that stun on both Vector and Jakimbo to push them off so they can't finish that kill. I was just about to say, the Nocturne R is up. When are we going to see that used?
Yep. I mean, I think a little bit just preemptively right there.
Yeah.
Maybe have to wait
And
for
we
that
are gonna
Syndra
see
to
a
walk out a
Rick
little
Arrow
bit
drop
further.
here.
You see the shot up and Darktide taking a little bit of damage, but dropping this Rift Herald this bot lane again, giving this gold, giving those platings to Toshi or Tohini.
Yeah, just there goes first tower already. That's a lot of gold on Caitlyn,
Yep.
and that's scary, right?
That is
Especially
a
when
lot.
you have no front line and no tanks to really
Yep.
block that damage from Caitlyn. So she's just gonna do a ton of damage.
I think this
Already
is
has
Caitlyn's
Gale
game
Force.
right now.
Yeah.
This is something where she can scale really, really hard. We are seeing Chemtech Drake come out. Sadly, not Chemtech Soul.
I love Chemtech Soul.
I love
Wave.
Chemtech.
I
I
love-
want to see Chemtech Soul.
I love the environment
Yep.
that it brings to the map.
think-
Just a nice change after having the same 5 dragons all year.
Definitely. I mean, seeing the same 5 dragons, seeing the same map over and
Yep.
over and over again, I think having a little bit of change it's a nice thing,
I
right?
want
And
them
it's
to
fun to
bring
play
back the
around.
Christmas map.
Yeah,
Christmas theme map. I want the snow.
I really want them to, but I feel like they're gonna be just frustrating about it, and based off principle because everybody's like asking them to, they're gonna be like, no, because everyone's asking, we're not going to.
Yeah, well, they can't even fix their client, so why would
Yeah,
they
that's
add a
real.
new map?
Yeah. I mean, they can't fix their client from backing us out of spectating, so there's no way that they can change the color palette.
Yeah.
All I'm asking for is just to replace it with snow. That's all.
They're gonna start selling map skin DLCs. In the
They
South.
might. They can sell like voice pack DLCs. They took away voice packs. I wish they still had voice packs.
But we are gonna see Bethel looking towards this bot side right now for the dragon. Getting like Valpo kind of contesting it, kind of not. I think it. Ooh, yeah. If you're Valpo, right, you kind of just back up.
Yep.
Just give up the dragon. You got first dragon, only second dragon. It's not really that important, but it looks like they're
Although-
committing all 5 to this bot lane or
They-
this bot side.
They might be. I mean, we do see Sion
Yeah.
start to rotate, so we are probably going to have the first 5v5 of this game. And Mitch Kimbo looking for a W and an R here. A huge stun in this bush. Vector getting chipped to half. Chill Viber being pulled
There's
out.
that
The Sion
Sion.
R coming in, hitting on this MF Jakimbo. The ult on Caitlyn as well, hitting MF Jakimbo. The R coming in from Mordekaiser as well. Mordekaiser kind of backing him into this corner here. He might go down as well. Going down. Chill Viber picking up his stats. Walking through, forcing BU to come in.
Oh
A
my
huge
goodness, the
knockup from
Dreadful.
Dreadful, and then a huge R from Vector as well, going in, getting the double kill, turning that into a triple kill on the Mordekaiser. The Sion still full health sitting in. Steamroller walking away. Run, Lulu. Run. Triple kill from Riven, going in that backline as well. And then the Polymorph stopping the Q. Vector finishing it off. Passive from Sion, just running in circles.
Sion doesn't know where to go.
he's just spinning around a little bit, having a little fun. huge fight right there from Dreadful to flash into the knockup with Riven. We've seen that he's been practicing it, especially having Ravenous Hydra for that fight. Even if it's not stacked enough. Amazing fight right there. Huge for Valpo.
Yeah, I was I was I was getting a little nervous right there at the beginning of the fight, right? Valpo didn't look too great for them at the start of it,
Yep.
with Jakimba going down, and then you just saw Dreadful come in and just delete everybody's health bar,
Yeah.
picking up a triple kill there. Man, but if we're looking at the scoreboard right now, Aphelios is honestly not doing too bad, right? Down
5 assists.
5 assists, right?
I mean,
The opposite of what you want for an ADC, right? But
Yeah.
I mean, if you're looking at the CS, really only down 30 CS, right? But he did have that coal, right?
Yep.
So that really closes the gap, and so he's not in a big of a deficit as he was this time around in the first game, which is really, really massive.
I mean, he is about to make just a free 150 gold for doing like nothing once he fully
Yeah.
stacks this coal and then sells it, right? I mean, it's gonna pay itself back. But I mean, looking here, just a couple of shots down mid. They probably are gonna try and set up for this Rift Herald here. As you can see, the Leandry's proccing on Victor here, but that Heartsteel as well. Couple of groups up. We have Aphelios top side, or we have Aphelios in that mid. We have that Riven in that bot side. We do have 4 people. Steamroller, run, Lulu.
Yeah,
Mordekaiser's just looking, and they did start this Rift Herald here, but with new Rift Herald, they're gonna have to just walk it back.
yeah,
It's gonna
they're
delay a
damaging
little
the
bit of
Rift Herald,
time.
but it just keeps the aggro
It
keeps
just keeps
resetting.
healing. You have to let it
It
go
keeps-
back. All right, it's
There we
finally
go.
back, but now Valpo Esports has rotated to this side, and we might see another fight pop off here. I don't know if BU wants to take this though. We do see Riven TP is up. That Riven, it's unleashed TP as well now. So with that 15-minute mark, you're really coming in. The Scion are coming in.
We do see
but
the
not
TP
being
coming
able
in
to
for the
land.
Riven and for the Syndra in the mid lane.
Yep.
Riven is going to get there first.
The
so
fleet
she's
as
gonna have
well on
time.
Vector, and the knockup and the huge stun from Riven as well. The R coming out through the wall. Chill Viber taking and banishing Dreadful to the Shadow Realm, but Dreadful is going to come out of Brazil pretty nice there.
Yeah.
Emma Chikimbo kind of getting caught around this side as well. If he gets hit and he goes down to Caitlyn, but Scion going down. Caitlyn picking up a double kill. Syndra still up as well.
Yeah, that's not what you really wanted. If you're Valpo, right, you kind of just need to see, hey, we got their jungler, let's back up, right?
Yep, there's the flash as well, and the
Oh
R
my.
coming out, and a huge shutdown, and then another kill for Syndra. They kind of just overstayed their welcome there and allowed BU to play around that fight, right? Obviously, you had Mordekaiser and you had Scion come in. Those are the big, like, melees, right? Those are the big tanks that you have. And while Riven is nice for dealing with that crowd control and dealing and moving around, if you can't get Riven to the back line fast enough, I mean, Caitlyn's just going to sit back and shoot. Same with Karma, same with Syndra. And we
Yeah.
saw that happen.
This game really, or this fight really started really good for Valpo, and it took a really bad turn, right? You kind of just see what we were talking about with Engage, right? The only really way to get into that backline is Vector, the Nocturne R.
And we might have a turn here. The smite
yeah.
going down. And
No,
looks like they're going to try and hold him off of the eye. I mean, taking the objective is one thing, but making sure that no one picks it up is a second thing. And it looks like Bethel's not even going to try, knowing that Scion is bot lane and Caitlyn is recalled.
Yeah, someone needs to go stop that Scion bot lane because he will just continue to take those towers, and he's pretty scary on the side lane.
We talked about that side lane presence, right? And that's what kind of they were drafting for with Scion. Because, I mean, you're not drafting him as a counter pick. You're not drafting him as like, I want this character, right? Like, I really want to play Scion. You're drafting him so that he can have that solo lane presence. Especially building that Heartsteel and probably going to build that Force of Nature, right? I mean, trying to just make him as tanky as he can so that he can sit through these kind of damages.
Yeah, Scion was in the bot lane, and then you see Riven in the top lane right now, kind of just all by herself.
And
And
that
it
is
gets that free turret.
Yeah, that is Lulu R as well. The engage from Karma and Caitlyn. Enough to get him to pop that and kind of just stay alive. Not having the Lulu R for this next fight is also kind of huge.
Yeah,
With
Dragon
drag up
is
now.
up, but if you're Valpo Esports, right, you don't really need this, right? You already have 2 dragons. This dragon would be very nice, right, on Soul Point, but
You
this
have
is
to
not a
know where your team
necessity.
is. Yep.
Yeah, you're down about 2.5K gold. So I mean, is it really worth it, right? Is it worth it to just like feed kills for this dragon?
Yep.
Uh,
And looks like Sion will back here, knowing that Bethel is also a 4v5. Valpo
he does have
Esports is
TP
here.
though.
He does have TP, and there's the TP coming in.
I
Uh,
think if you're Valpo, you're kind of just like you kind of back up, right? You definitely do not start this dragon, right? Because if
Yeah.
you start it, that dragon hitting you, and that just gives a green light to Bethel to run in. So you kind of just wait, or you just
It
start
looks
it.
like they are going to start this dragon. They're confident in being able to force a fight here. With the Lulu shield at least stopping enough of the chip.
Lulu's is back up, which is
Riven
really
is sitting.
important.
Riven is sitting behind them right now in that bush, kind of playing that pressure game. They're
They are
going to be
pinging.
looking for a late steal.
The flank
Syndra
from
coming
the
in from the
Syndra.
other side, getting that knockup. The R coming from Lulu again, being back up, but Tony killing finally. The R from Caitlyn as well, picking up the double kill, but Riven being able to kill Mordekaiser. Aphelios pick up the kill on Syndra as well. And it looks like they're back in this match. The flash in from Dreadful with the Q as well. The W dropping down from Victor, being forced to dash away. Ravenous healing him to almost back to half. Ordinal getting a couple of shots, and the Gale Force coming in as well. But there's just too much damage from that Caitlyn as he dashes in.
Well, I talked about Caitlyn's weak mid game, but I guess that doesn't matter when you're so far ahead.
Yep.
So
You
good
do
flash
have to
from
see the
Jakimbo
flash from
there
him of
to get out,
Jakimbo. Good flash. I mean, he dies if he doesn't there.
Yeah.
You have to be careful though. I
Dreadful
don't
is
think
here.
with Dreadful pressuring in that lane, I don't think they have enough to do this dragon. You do have the Syndra TP in. Dreadful taking a lot of shots here, just trying to finish off that Scion. The R
going
coming
on
in
the
from
Caitlyn.
Vector as well. Karma getting run down by MF Jakimbo, forcing it. And this is just a really, really long fight. I think if Valpo doesn't get a pick here, they really need to be careful about staying. They do have the stun and the pull in from Dreadful.
They have to
being
get
able
this
to run in
Caitlyn.
as well,
They have
knocking
to
up
get this
the
Caitlyn.
Caitlyn getting double
And there
knocked
it
up, and the
goes.
R coming from Riven taking down Caitlyn. That's huge for this fight. That's the pick that they were looking for. Vector being able to kill that Mordekaiser. Syndra being forced to back up. Dreadful's probably going to stay on this mid tower. Syndra coming in to just contest a little bit, but that's what you needed. Another knockup as well.
Oh my
and
goodness.
Syndra's going to go down to the Gore Drinker on.
That was like a 3-minute fight.
That
was
was.
just back to back to back to back something, all going
Yep.
over. And Valpo coming out on top, getting this dragon. That's Soul Point for Valpo. That's huge.
Yep.
Regaining the gold lead. Now pinging the Baron, but looks like they're just gonna back off, recall, get the gold that they got from that. That was a huge shutdown on the Caitlyn. And once that Caitlyn was down, the fight was over, right?
Definitely.
That you just don't have the damage yet. Syndra is not a one-shot character just yet, right?
Mhm.
But I mean, great fight from Valpo. I mean,
Definitely.
being able to come back after it looked so gloom there.
I think biggest thing about that fight, right? Valpo did not come out early on top, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of got pushed back, but the way that they played around their spacing after they lost that initial fight, having Dreadful come in, go into that Baron, or go into that Dragon Pit, Jakimbo still throwing ease, was just enough spacing that when Valpo Esports was able to get back and get a pick or two, Bethel didn't follow it up with their own spacing and was forced to hold off. And while Dragon does go to their favor, it is going to be Infernal Soul for next drag coming up for Valpo. Bethel's just focusing on these lanes now, right? You have that demolished Scion, you have those shots that tank Scion, becoming really a huge threat.
Yeah, I mean, just this Scion really. Oh my
And that's just a
well,
kill.
I
from
just
Rin-
Riven.
yeah.
I just you're so far ahead. I didn't even realize 9-1-3 on the Riven.
Yep.
You fully stacked Ravenous Hydra. You're probably gonna get your third item on your back, right?
Yep.
I mean, just absolute menace in this game right now.
He's
I'm pretty sure
becoming
responsible
dangerous.
for all towers so far on the side of Valpo.
Yep.
Just absolute menace on the map. Which we
Yep.
kind of seen all
Dreadful.
series from on the Fiora, and on this Riven.
Yep, Dreadful is seriously becoming a threat for Bethel's side. I mean, Bethel's Caitlyn now finally getting that BT, that shield, which is huge for her. But I mean, you have to be careful. Riven can walk in and that shield means nothing if she just jumps to your backline. Especially we've been seeing he loves that Q, and then flash on that third Q, right, for that combo. Flash in and then third Q to get that knock up. With that combo, it's really, really hard for Caitlyn to play around her E, especially with the stun that Riven throws afterwards. So, name of the game right now for Bethel is to play around their Caitlyn by not letting Riven get back there. The rest of Valpo Esports, right? If Nocturne were to jump back, I think it's kind of suicide.
Yeah.
If anybody else was to walk to that backline outside of maybe Ordinal, I think that's suicide. But
Yeah.
Riven is someone that is able to jump back there, get a kill, and then kind of 1v9 with the healing that she has from Ravenous and from Core Drinker.
Yeah.
Looking
I'm
for
just, I'm just happy that the Caitlyn is actually building right. Usually we see Caitlyn's build rapid fire cannon and
Yep.
then wonder why they do no damage, right?
Yep.
So going a good build here, right? Building that damage, trying to keep a stable game, right? I mean,
we do have the dash in as well with the stun, the Core
my
Drinker.
goodness.
Yeah, and
Every time I see it-
we're seeing now why this pick was so strong against Sion.
Yeah.
It's just so fast. The combo is just so quick that you really can't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, it just shocks me every time I see it, and I'm just like, that's a lot of damage.
I mean, weaved in now with the extra damage from Gore Drinker, the healing from Gore Drinker and Ravenous. Riven is seriously a force. I mean, we talked about
This
this
Infernal
team.
Soul too. If you get
Yep.
this Riven on Infernal Soul with that extra damage, that extra burst damage too. Oh my goodness.
Yep. I mean,
Like,
we're
just-
talking about how Valpo Esports doesn't have tanks, but the way that they're making up for tanks is having sustain.
Yeah.
Right? You have the chip kind of from MF Chikimbo, but Dreadful wants to take a lot of attention, right? He wants to dash back. He wants to get in that back line. He wants to sit in the middle of people because the more that he's inside of, right, the more healing that he's going to get. And by doing that, by taking that aggro, I mean, it's the same purpose as a tank.
Dreadful needs to watch out here.
He is going to get 4v1 here. Just trying to get a dash out as well. You're seeing how much healing he has right now, though. I mean, still staying alive. The shield as well from Lulu. Being able to dash up. Mordekaiser R, and he gets out of the four. I mean,
What?
Mordekaiser R-ing in that very last section was really, really not good.
And he could just recall and TP right back.
Yep.
For this dragon.
It looks like they are going to have the R come out, but that R is going to travel across the map trying to hit him in base.
Oh my goodness.
I mean,
I just like, if you're Bethel and you see that, you're just like, I mean, what else do we do? Like, we had 5 people around him. We Mordekaiser ulted him, and he still got out. And,
I mean,
if
right
you're
as I was
Valpo, you're just so comfortable just starting this dragon, right? He doesn't even need to. Dreadful doesn't even need to TP, right? And
Yep.
so now he has now Valpo have 2 TPs compared to the one on the side of Bethel, because Syndra did TP down for that bot lane play on the Riven. And so now if you're just walking over to Baron, right? You got Soul, you got
Yep.
that burst damage on Riven, on Victor, on Aphelios, right? You know what you lack in tanking, you make up for in damage, right? And
Yep.
Valpo has a lot of that damage.
I mean, we talked about earlier, right? With the Core Drinker, with the Ravenous, more people around you, the better, right? Dreadful whole thing is he wants to dive to that backline. He wants to jump in as fast as he can, and we saw right there, because taking 4 people at once, pause, is just more than enough to heal him back to full. It's insane how much healing that Dreadful has, and just being able to run that dragon, Katani getting picked.
Okay, cool. I mean, we really haven't talked about Aphelios' game because it's kind of just been the Dreadful show. But
No
I
need
mean,
to.
3-1-6.
Yep.
I mean,
Playing all you can, right? We see the
he's
7-2-1.
doing what he needs to. I mean, we're also Usually we're talking about Jakimbo, right, and what he's doing in the mid lane. It's kind of just been a quiet mid lane so
Yep.
far this series, besides game one, like early game. But I mean, um, he Victor is also really scary in this late game. Um, but I mean, really the only person that really falls off on the side of Valpo is this Nocturne, right?
Yep.
Late game he really falls off with his damage, right? So he's usually mostly used for his R. But we are kind of just seeing Valpo just sieging mid lane, uh, trying to get this mid tier
And the
2.
flash and the R from Ordinal as well with the blue gun. Being able to shoot back in a
Caitlin's
ton
so
of damage. The pull in
weak.
from MS Jakimbo being pushed back. They're really kind of wasting their time here.
Yeah, I don't know
that
why
they're going for this drag, but it's just taking too long. They're gonna have this wave. I mean, I think they would split it a little bit up.
Yeah, but I guess they're really just going for this mid lane. I don't know why there's not someone top or bottom, right, to kind of distribute the Baron buff. But they're kind of just putting all their eggs in one basket. But it is nice to have the tier 2 down.
Yep.
But we are now seeing Riven gain that top lane, and Sion is going to match. But I mean, we're seeing all game like the Sion is quote unquote matching, right? He can't really hang in with the Riven with all the damage, right? And see, look, that Q, right, or that dash just getting out.
And now having that AD from Infernal Soul, it's nasty, especially with that burst damage.
4 items on the Riven, compared to the 2 on the Sion. Like I think that just kind of says it all, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's so nasty. Riven just gets nastier and nastier, especially as she goes up in level. Once she, I mean, hitting that 17 now, hitting that 16 earlier, her R is gonna just start chipping like people's half health. It's like an execute at this point. It's gonna get nasty. We are seeing Riven, Lulu kind of walking around, and it makes sense. If I'm Steamroller, I'm sticking with Dreadful as well.
Yeah, you just get the flash,
The
get
flash
the
and
ult.
the R coming out as well. I mean, that's all you can do as Scion right now. That's what you have to do. Couple of shots in, I really would expect Valpo to start clearing out here. Obviously waiting for those next objectives, but even then you have to start playing these games like you have to start finishing out these games, excuse me.
Yeah, gets the redemption from the karma. I mean, but then this Syndra's kind of just like,
A lot of
almost
shots
dead.
coming out, but
That's a lot of damage from the Aphelios, right?
with
Late game
Mordekaiser
Aphelios
you can't.
is pretty scary.
Yeah, you just can't stay.
Yeah, you can't stay. You back up. I think are Valpo just kind of just playing towards this Elder Dragon in 2 minutes, right?
Yep.
I mean, they have a 6K gold lead, or 5.5K gold lead right now. So they do have a major advantage when it comes to this bot fight or this dragon fight coming up. And I think Jakimbo is going to base right now, and he's going to be able to get this death cap. Yep, there's that death cap and the stopwatch. So that's a huge power spike for this Victor.
Yep.
He's going to be doing a lot of damage, and he has a lot of sustainability now, being able, not sustainability, but being able to stay alive, right, with the stopwatch now.
I mean, we split Riven top lane, we split Jakimbo bottom lane, and then we had mid lane just kind of playing around, Lulu walking between those two, just giving a little bit of pressure. Overall, just really, really dangerous for
all 5 top lane now.
Yeah, a couple of pings going on. Looks like they're probably going to try and go for one of these shutdowns. Bye-bye, Lulu. And we have another hit here from the client. Thank you very much.
Okay, luckily this didn't happen in a major fight.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
We're good
At least it happened right before Steamroller almost got knocked.
But expect at least 3 more minutes of
there's
game.
the death on Steamroller. The R coming up from Syndra, but you do see Dreadful and Ordinal in this mid lane. A ton of damage going down to this tower, just trying to clear that so that
and now with 30 seconds left,
inhib.
30 seconds left, you just walked Elder, right? Well, what can Bethel do?
Yep.
They're down so much gold. The Riven is so strong.
Issue being is that you don't have Lulu.
Lulu
is huge for this fight on Valpo Esports' side. Even with the gold lead that they have, even with Riven being ahead, a lot of the shield and the R that you have available for Lulu is really, really tough to not play around.
Yeah, now you have a stopwatch on Riven, right? So now you think you can get her right. She can now get in that back line and then stall with that stopwatch. And then she has the sustainability too on top of that. But um, yeah, just Valpo, uh, Bethel really getting first touch right now on the Elder, but they're gonna back off. Lulu now up and in the fight. Be careful looking at this mid lane, right? Where is this Riven gonna come into play
Yep.
with this flank? Or is he gonna do what he did last game and just
Yeah.
just go run down mid and end the game?
I mean,
Which is
it looks like
he's
he's
kind of
just
what
gonna
he's
go
doing.
down mid again.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it's like, do you
hey,
match it? If you match it right, then you just give up Elder. But
it's not
if you
broken,
don't,
fix
then,
it, man.
but if
It's
you
not
don't, then
broken, you don't fix
yeah,
it.
he just. Oh wait, no, he's
Image
TPing
of
back
Kimbo
in.
does get hit in. The
Dread-
TP coming back in as well. It looks like it was a little bit of a fake. Ordinal hitting with a huge R, getting the kill on Scion as well. Having that gun up, Katani getting a pick on Steamroll in the backline. Ordinal picking up a triple kill here.
If you're Vector,
Just being able to
if
play
you're Victor,
around.
you kind of just TP, you kind of just base and then TP to the mid lane to end the game,
Yep.
right?
I mean, if you're
Yeah,
Victor,
this-
you base and then you come right back. But for the rest of them, just run that mid.
Yeah,
Start
this
pinging,
is-
start going. You have that fight power now that you need. That doesn't require Baron. You have the flash come out from Vector, a couple of shots out, and then Dreadful finishing off that kill with
Yep.
the Elder Dragon. And
you just walk down mid and yep,
Yep.
you see now the
Syndra
TP
not
coming
being
in,
up in 40. Yeah.
and you can't really stop him.
Yep. And this is most likely going to be game and semifinals for Valpo Esports.
Valpo Esports now going to the finals, right?
Going to the finals.
Valpo Esports,
Great
run.
overall series right now.
Great first game, looking like it was really down and out, right? And being able to come back after losing that soul and winning the game off of that crazy Baron play that we didn't see.
Yep.
And then getting just being able to end the game through Fiora just running down mid, right? And then great second game.
Yep.
Just
I mean,
we
saw
talked about no tanks, but it doesn't really matter because everybody really just stepped up and played really well in the laning phase to where the damage really just really didn't make it matter.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we saw Dreadful come out that second game as well. First game pretty good, right? But
Yeah.
second game really was the tide turner in those fights, and I think we saw the flexibility of taking that Riven, joining more team fights. Right? He was able to hop in. He was able to use a lot more CC. He was a constant CC machine, right? And then with Gore Drinker, with Ravenous Hydra, especially with how strong it is right now, it just became way too strong. But that is going to be it for the series of Valpo Esports versus Bethel College for the semifinals NECC. 2-0 win going over to Valpo. Valpo advancing on to the finals of NECC playoffs. I'm your host, Dikembe.
I'm Keloids.
And thank you guys for all coming out. Thank you for all the support, all the chats, follows. Please keep supporting us. We really appreciate you guys. Go Valpo.